Hi, I'm Maya from Bookworm Dreams and welcome to a new video. It has come to this that I have to film a mid-month wrap-up. So far I have read 8 books this month and now it's the 16th of April when I'm filming this. And to avoid our month wrap-ups lasting over 30 minutes, I decided to film this one. As I said before, I've read 8 books so far in the first 2 weeks of April, and let's talk about them. The first thing I read is A Dead Gin in Cairo by P.J. Clark. I read this, but this is a short story in the Dead Gin universe, because I read this because Christina and our friends, we have a book club, and the book for this month is to read A Master of Gin, and before you read The Master of Gin by P.J. Clark, you have to read the short story, which I did. So in the short story we are introduced to the main characters of the full-length novel. So Fatma, who is an investigator for a special ministry which deals with the supernatural beings, because in this world the veil between the magical and the real world and the magical one, or like the magic with the magical creatures and stuff, has been ruptured, and so the world is filled with magical creatures, one of them being a jinn, which we encounter in this story. And this is set in the 1920s in Cairo, Egypt, and basically we follow Fatma as she successfully, I guess, solves a murder of a jinn. This is a short novella, and so there isn't really a lot to say. I like how the world is set up, and I like our main character, and I'm looking forward to reading the full-length novel soon. With this book, I fulfilled a prompt for the Magic Readathon as well, Elemental Studies. Cannot remember what that was for, I'll write it here, but yeah, I've read for that. The next book I finished is another one for Magical Readathon. For the prompt lore, I read Hammered by Kevin Hearn. This is book 3 in the Iron Druid series, and in the Iron Druid series we follow Atticus Sullivan, who is a Celtic druid. He's 21 years old, and basically he survives by pretending to be a young man in Arizona. He has an occult shop, and he has many magical creatures as friends, and in the first 2 books there was also a setup of what an asshole Thor is, and in the 3rd book we find out why people think that, because Atticus becomes a part of a sort of hunting party that is set to destroy Thor, and stuff happens. I don't want to spoil the 3rd book for you, but I can just say that there are major consequences in this one, because the first 2 kind of seemed they're all fun urban fantasy reads, very quick, very entertaining, but the first 2 seemed kind of not superficial, but didn't have a lot of depth to it. But in this 3rd one, we see sort of how previous actions sort of build one upon another and create this storm of consequences for Atticus, and it will be very interesting to see how that sort of, if it actually solves itself in the 4th book. The next book I finish is Never Seduce a Scot by Maya Banks. So basically the reason I picked up this historical romance is because at the end of May, I just sort of realized, at the end of March, I realized that I didn't really read any romance stuff. So I remembered that several romance booktubers talked about like overprotective protagonists and whatnot, and this book was mentioned because in this we follow, I think his name is Graham, I don't remember. I know the girl's name is Evelyn. So Graham is a part of a clan, and he is in conflict with another clan. And the King of Scotland is like, let's put these clans together so, you know, I can have a good background of people who want to protect me, his supporters and such. So he brings them together in a marriage. So the dude is given the task to marry Evelyn, the daughter of the opposing clan, right? And the thing is with Evelyn, that people think that she is daft or stupid or, you know, touched in the head because she doesn't act the way other people do. But the thing is that this is what we find out in the first chapter, first couple of chapters. The thing is that she had an accident like a couple of years ago where she fell off a horse and hurt her head, and she lost her hearing, so she's deaf. And the way she survives in her environment without telling people that she's deaf is that she's learned how to read lips and sort of, you know, communicates in that way. So, but when she is like taken away to be married, or the dude comes to get her and they get married and whatnot, and they live in his castle and whatnot, she tries to sort of fit in this clan, and the clan are not very supportive or welcoming and whatnot, which gives you a level of angst. But when dude figures out that she's deaf and what she can do and whatnot, he becomes very overprotective and enamored and in love and whatnot, and you know, things resolve themselves in the end. There's a whole series, but I read the first one. Don't think I will continue with the second one because the only person I was interested in was the younger sister, to see what happens with her, but none of the books are about her, so yeah. Then another book I actually started reading, the Never to Seduce Scott and Feral Sins, the next book I finished at the end of March, but finished it at the beginning of April. So I read Feral Sins by Suzanne Wright. Was this like one of on the recommendations? I think it was on the recommendations of like Overprotective, yeah. So basically in Feral Sins, this is a world where packs exist, packs of werewolves exist, right? And they have their whole politics about them, and they have their whole relationship with the humans and whatnot, but the humans are not really a big part of this world. So in this, we follow Tyron, I think her name is Tyron. I know how to spell it, don't know how to say it. Tyron, and forgot the dude's name again, I don't know. Anyway, basically, Tyron is in a bind, and she goes to, her father wants to marry her off to an alpha werewolf, so he can have like his alliances and whatnot, alliance with that dude, right? So she hates that dude because he's very creepy and he's not a good dude. So she decides to go to this alpha werewolf who is considered to be a psycho because he goes feral every time he changes and attacks people and kills people on the regular. To go to him to sort of have like a fake mating situation so that she can get out of the first arranged marriage, and you know, she can help him with gathering alliances because the dude's uncle is trying to take over his land and his pack. So they, you know, get into this arranged mating situation, and since they're both alpha personalities, there's a whole urge for the male to dominate her, and it definitely gives you an interesting conflict and sort of not conflict, but an opposition. It's a different, interesting balance of power in that relationship. But of course, as in any paranormal romance story goes, this turns out to be actual mates and whatnot, and there's like angst with her being constantly attacked because a couple of members of the pack that she goes into are not really welcoming and don't want her to be there. But you know, the Tyron is very sarcastic and very like sure of herself, but she also has a secret. She has a problem in it that she can't really. She's like a latent werewolf, which means shifter, which means that she can't really turn into a wolf. And this is like a genetic thing, so people think she's less than. So she has been. She spent all her life sort of fighting for herself because people think she's lame and weak because she can't turn into a wolf, but she's strong and stuff. And just the relationship between them is really good. The smut scenes are plentiful and very good, which is always a plus for me. And yeah, I'm currently reading the sequel to that because, you know, it's a really fun romance to read. The next two books come from so there's this thing on BookTube called the World Hoppers. I will leave the link to everything down below. So this is a group of booktubers that make monthly or even a couple of, I don't know. So they make videos for charity, and they usually do like tags, and they talk about tropes. They talk about different kind of recommendations, whether to be fantasy, science fiction. They talk about anticipated videos. Basically, they're like panels and podcasts and whatnot. So I'll leave the link to their channel down below. So they had a sort of a video on tropes in romance, and somehow, I don't even know how they got to this, but one of the participants mentioned something called That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon by Kimberly Lemming, and I thought that sounded very interesting, and I read that, and I read the companion novel called Mistletoe. So basically in That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon, we follow uh, 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 main character who gets drunk with her friend. Her name is Cinnamon, and on her way home she gets attacked by a demon. It's like a medieval sort of setting, right? So she gets attacked by a demon, and to escape she basically throws a bunch of cinnamon in his face because her family are cinnamon farmers. How many times can I say cinnamon? And I hate cinnamon. So basically throws it in her face, and with that basically releases him from this spell that he's under. So he tells her then that every demon that lives in their land, in like a northern part of the land or not, are under the control of this evil witch. She is pretending to be a god to the people. And so he takes her on, and he's like, we're going on a mission or a quest to destroy all the temples and whatnot, chalices that basically represent the witch's heart, to destroy the witch and free all the demons. And then the interesting and completely insane adventure goes on. And this book, and this is a romance book, so basically at one point he sees her kill an alligator and he's like, okay, I like you, like I'm gonna marry you. And then basically the romance starts from there. So this book was so fun. It was such a fun read, and it was just, the romance was really fun to follow because from the beginning there are like nicknames and stuff which I was like, and the romance is just the adventure is kind of ridiculous, but it's fun to follow because, you know, Cinnamon goes around and she's like trying to free all the demons, which everything that's not human follows under that term, like werewolves. There's a dude is like a lamia, which is like a snake, a huge snake with arms, and every time she sort of frees another one, she's like, please don't kill me, I just want to help you and stuff. And just basically she's walking around with cinnamon and just throwing it into people's faces. And it's so much fun. There's also a dragon in this one, so if you want to read it for any kind of dragon prompt, that you can with that. And it was so much fun. I gave it 4 stars and I enjoyed it a lot. So I immediately got my hands on the like, it's like a companion novella, short story. It's a short story because it has like 60 something pages, which is basically a sort of a Beauty and the Beast retelling, because there's a blacksmith and he goes and steals some ore from this fox shifter god thing, and he basically, the fox thing basically curses the blacksmith so that every sword and weapon and whatever tool that he makes can speak, and and they basically talk about they basically make jokes and have and scream sexual innuendos and everything. It's freaking ridiculous. So the daughter basically just has it to hear with that, and she goes to find the fox thing and like, please, like, I'll do anything, just lift the curse and whatnot. I'll bring you food, I'll like whatever. And he's like, okay, great, go with me to this winter festival. And he has to convince this old dragon dude that he can take care of his territory, and he can do that by basically coming to this party with a mate. So they pretend to be mates, and there's of course, as in the previous book, the smutty scenes are plentiful and good. Basically, they just go to this party and pretend to be mates, and they have sex, and there's like a hunt thing that happens, but you know, whatever. It was short, it was fun, and it was great. So I will definitely, I already, I think, sent this to my sister and Christina to read, because I recommend it to everyone. It's so much fun, and yeah, it's just, I just loved it a lot. Okay, now I can show you a book that I read. So I read Isis of Krvi by, I always mispronounce her last name, so I have to read it. So Vesna Kurovic. So this is a book I read for Magical Readathon for the prompt restoration, because it has to be a book with a healer. So in this story, we follow a widow, Rajki, that's her surname. She finds a half-dead dude next to in the forest. After she goes to investigate an explosion, because the widow is a werewolf, right? And a couple of her pack have decided to destroy the railroad that's being built through this part of Croatia called Gorski Kotar. So this is set in like the 1800s, I think, right? So basically she finds him and she heals him, and helps him heal. She's not like magical or what. Other than she's a werewolf and whatnot, but you know, she doesn't have like magical powers, and she helps him heal. And this is a novella. I don't know the sizes and the names of this. What this was very good. This was very not interested. So throughout the book, the widow is dealing with the death of her husband and dealing with this new person in her life. She's trying to deal with her pack and the fact that it's getting smaller. She's trying to deal with the fact that her younger, is it like a cousin or a niece or whatnot, she's being courted by one of her pack members, Maria, and she's like, I don't want you to be with her, not because she's a woman, but because she's not proper. But she does, like, Maria doesn't have a steady job. She's like, you know, she works with horses. She's like she's not like good enough for you or whatnot. But which brings a level of conflict here. But yeah, we see sort of both romances blossoming between Maria and the cousin, whose name escapes me now. It's like Tsenka, I think. And between the widow and the man that she saves. And then there's a like overarching, and there's also like these dudes from the town that basically from the railroad company who basically come to her in, and they're like, we want to buy it because we want to bring more workers and whatnot. And she's like, fuck you, no. And then they come back with tortures and shit, and it's like, anyway, I really enjoyed it. It was well written. It was very interesting. Not sure if this is translated. I'll have to check, and if it is, I will leave you the link to that down below. And the last book I finished, oh my god, even for like a mid-month wrap, this is gonna be long, sorry. So the last book I finished is Tyron's Throne by Sebastian de Castell. This is book 4 in the Greatcoats series, in which we follow Falkio and Castell and Brasti, which are like, here, they're the Greatcoats. They go around the kingdom to administer the king's law, the king who has been murdered in the beginning of the first book. And they have been sort of left on their own devices to fulfill the king's last missions. And yeah, book 4, Christina and I will have a full-length review of this book. We did do the first 3 books in the series, so you can check that out as well. It was the finale of the series. I have this love-hate relationship with the main character because, you know, like, I liked him in the first one, did not like him in the second one, loved him in the third one, and this one I'm like so... There were so many eye-rolling moments. There were so many, like... I think, like, you have to be in a specific mood for this swashbuckling book. And anyway, I've read it. Full-length review will be coming soon. I gave it 4 stars in the end because overall I kept thinking about if I could be that annoyed and that emotionally engaged with the book, it definitely doesn't deserve 3 stars. There were some awesome moments. We have, you know, the banter, the friendship between Falkio, Castell and Brasti, and, you know, each character actually having a character arc and being better and whatnot, and all the characters there. I cried at one point, and it was just, oh yeah. Review to come. So these are all the books that I've read so far in April. So there were 8 of them. There will be, I will be reading more because I think Tom Topol started yesterday. Tour.com readathon is happening, starting today as well. But yeah, if you have read any of the books that I have and you want to share your opinions, please do down below in the description box. If you like this video, you can press the like button. You can subscribe if you want. We are very close to 200 subscribers. So, and there are links down in the description box for you to check out. So please do. And that is it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!